Yeah.
Trust me, this is not the watch party. We still haven't figured out how to get the right backdrop for our Q&A show. But
Uh, uh,
we'll get with Iggy and JC and figure this stuff out eventually. This
yeah,
is
look, Greg, I was digging the Charlie Brown theme song though. Like that sounded good.
yeah, this is Tip and I have been trying to play with this stuff, and I've always come into this software as a guest, which means I can stream it to a location of my choice.
Right.
But for some reason, I'm coming in as a host now, which means I can't stream it to the location of my choice. But we want to thank everybody that comes by to watch us live. I see Daniel's already commenting in the comments, and that's great. And we've got a bunch of questions. Now, I don't know who the sports affiliation is, but if that's JC or Iggy or even Evan, we need your help. We definitely need your help.
No, it's me. It's me. Yeah, we definitely need your help on that because, we don't look. Greg and I are talkers. We're not producers yet. I'm working on my way to learning this stuff, and it's fun. But yeah, we are talkers. We talk. We help out people, and that's what we're here to do for you guys. We're here to help you and talk to you about your teams and your questions that you have for Week 14. I mean, Greg, I've been to Scott Fish Bowl. I know you were in it as well. Tell everybody how well you've done in the Scott Fish Bowl this year, or not well.
Kiss my shiny hiney. Does that tell you how I did?
You know what, Greg? I'm pretty sure that you've had a bunch of wins in your illustrious Hall of Fame career, but yeah, this one wasn't too good for you, huh?
No, it really wasn't too good. And tonight's show, I got to say, I love the first question we're doing.
Yeah,
because AK asked it in Twitter or X, and I decided to tease the show in X. So hopefully AK comes by and can hear the answer because it's the first question.
It is the first question. And AK asked, and I'm going to get the answer from you first, Greg. He asked, pick 2 wide receivers, 2 flex, and 1 tight end. So AKA, eliminate 1 from this group. He has Jamar Chase, Ladd McConkey, Jacoby Myers, Jaden Reed, Brock Bowers, Jonnu Smith. So far, I can't find anybody to sit. But who are you leaning towards sitting out of this group or eliminating out of this group?
Well, at first glance, I was going to say sit Jonnu. Okay. I rarely pick tight ends over wide receivers.
Yeah.
Not for a flex position. But both Smith, who's had 30, and Bowers, who's had 40 targets over the last 3 games, they're not only getting wide receiver usage, they're getting top tier wide receiver usage. 10 targets a game or more. Yeah. That's pretty unheard of. So if McConkey doesn't play,
right,
your choice is made for you. I mean, it really is. Earlier, I had to question McConkey or Jaden Reed. Mm-hmm. That's a tougher call when it's just those 2 are the only options you have. But here, you can wait till Sunday because you've got 2 guys playing. Only Reed plays Thursday night. Now, right. I really don't like Reed against the Lions. Lions in Week 9 kind of held him in check. And they've had a lot of injuries, so you got to worry about that. But, I wanted to look at everybody and kind of see what to do, So I think since Reed plays Thursday, he has to be one of your wide receivers. And you start him at wide receiver, not flex, because it's a Thursday night start, right? All right? Don't use up your flex on Thursday night. So I looked at Myers. He's had 31 targets. That's 10 per week. Getting amazing usage, very favorable matchup. You have to play Chase, okay? Jamar Chase is in your lineup every week. So for me, your choice comes down to McConkey due to being dinged up, even if he plays, or one of one of Bowers or Myers. Now, the reason I chose those two is because how often are two players from the same team going to both score touchdowns?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you really want to play both Raiders guys? You want to pick the one that's going to score, and that might be hard to do because 40 targets for Bowers in 3 weeks. That's over 13 a game.
Wait, Greg. You were so down on Brock Bowers this year. Can you tell me?
No. I was saying he's not generational.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
He is definitely not Travis Kelce, which you seem to indicate you thought he could be. I don't think he's Travis Kelce. But bottom line is, when you're choosing one guy to sit and you got two Raiders, okay, you got Bowers and Myers. I don't think they're both going to score. And I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Bowers hasn't really done all that well this year in terms of touchdowns. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm gonna read some stuff off to you about Bowers real quick, because yes, I think his over under was 4.5 touchdowns, and so far Bowers is at 1, 2, 3, 4. He's right at 4 touchdowns. So this is the thing. Last week and 2 weeks before that, in week 11, is when he actually got those touchdowns. He had a couple of other touchdowns before that, but he's been on a little bit of a heater as far as yardage goes.
Right, he has been. Don't get me wrong. He has been.
Right. So the thing with tight ends is, yes, you do want to. Tight ends are the tricky ones. You want to get those touchdowns from them, but a lot of times in the case of a tight end, those are fluky, right? But with Brock Bowers, you're right. You have to start him. You got to start him in this situation. He's got an interesting scenario.
I didn't say that. I did not say you have to start Brock Bowers.
Okay.
My point is that you have to start one of Bowers or Myers.
Well,
okay,
you're right. You can't start both.
Well, but you can if you really think McConkey is not going to play. If McConkey doesn't, he's limited practice so far this week on Wednesday. Yeah. If he's a full participant on Friday, you got to play him. I mean, McConkey, he's been really good this year.
Right.
But if he's a limited participant or a non-participant on Friday, I might start. I might sit him and start both Myers and Bowers.
So you're willing to wait, Greg. So you're willing to sit Jaden Reed, even though
I said you have to start Reed.
Okay, so you're starting Reed, and you're gonna so you're starting Reed to secure yourself from figuring out what you're gonna do with McConkey.
Right.
Okay, I'm on board with that. Okay, I'm on board with that, because especially with Romeo Doubs being out, and you said that. And
the problem is McConkey, if I'm not mistaken, is playing the night game on Sunday. Okay.
Yes.
So you won't know if he's out until after you've already had to decide about the Raiders game.
Yep.
So you're going to have to make a decision between one of, in my opinion, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, or Ladd McConkey. Now, if they're all healthy and I know they're all playing, I'm definitely starting McConkey and then choosing who I think will score between Myers and Bowers. Both of whom have had good years.
Right.
This guy's loaded. I mean, he is just loaded at the receiver position. It almost makes me feel like it's a troll question, to be honest, because he is, or it could be an 8-team or a 10-team league, but the guy's loaded. He's got great players. Now, they didn't start great, so it's probably an honest question. Right. But right now, at this point, all these guys are having great trends. The last 3 games have been great for all of these guys, and you're never sitting Chase. Yeah. You agree with that, right?
No. Yeah, you don't sit him.
So if I knew that they were all playing, I might sit Jaden Reed, because Detroit held him to like 6 points 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks, week 9. In week 9 in Green Bay, Detroit shut him down. Now Detroit's had a lot of injuries on defense. In fact, they have, I think, 4 new defensive linemen that are all going to play some this week. Isn't that wild?
That's crazy. Yeah, no, it's crazy. And I'm looking because Mantis Toboggan, aka I think that's Sebastian's dad, he said that Lad McConkey is going to be out. So I'm just double checking it. I'm not doubting what he says, but I'm double checking it.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll be out. He was a limited participant on the injury report in practice on Wednesday. Limited participant does not mean out, and on a Wednesday practice, even for a Sunday night game, even being a non-participant doesn't mean you're out because they'll rest people to heal them. So I don't know that he's out. I still think you have to wait, and you're going to have to make that call before you know whether he's out or not, unless they announce it early. Unless they announce it, they didn't announce Dubs was out until today.
Yeah, so it's actually a good situation because he was limited yesterday, and for it to be the start of the week of practice and he was actually limited, that's a good sign. It's not a bad sign because he wasn't out of practice. So now we just don't know. The practice report, I just looked at it, has not come out today as far as what I've seen. So with this situation, yes, I do agree. You go with Jaden Reed, and then you kind of figure out from there where you go as far as Lad McConkey. Because I will say this, he's averaging 17 points in the last 3 games. He's going to go against Najee Johnson, the cornerback for the Cardinals. And according to PFF, it's a really good matchup for him. So that would be something nice too. And then, but you got to make sure that these practice reports, you got to look at them. I mean, yes, I see what Mantis is saying. We've seen where people have been expected to miss games, and then all of a sudden the weekend comes around, turns around, their injury turns around, and they end up playing or they tough it out. So it's still a wait and see approach, but I do think you play Jordan Reed. We do got a question though from the audience, and it's another question regarding Lad McConkey, and it's from Albert, Greg, and it said, should he go with Jamison Williams tonight or Lad McConkey? Similar situation.
I'm going with J-Mo because you don't know if McConkey's playing.
Me too. Yeah. You got to go J-Mo this week on that one, Albert, especially with them. Tonight they're going to be without Jair Alexander, the Packers as well. So that's another thing you can look at.
Yeah, but does that really play into J-Mo or does it play into Amon-Ra?
Amon-Ra, right. It could go both. Exactly. I see exactly what your point is, but just having him out does mean that they're possibly out one of their better corners. So
I think Detroit tonight is going to run the ball for 2 reasons. Number one, it shortens the game, and number 2, I don't think Green Bay can stop both backs, and both backs were held out of the end zone last week. They don't like that. They score every week. They didn't score last week.
We're going to talk about the game a little bit later because I got a question for you because there's a lot of issues on the defense, or injuries, I should say, on the defensive side of the ball. So I want to talk to you about that because I know who you're leaning towards.
Well, we can, but first, DJ asks, is Winston a must start rest of the season? I want your opinion before I give mine.
Yeah, so absolutely. Look, he has a tough matchup this week. But after that, no, he has favorable matchup. Look, I don't care about the pick sixes. That is
no. That's not what I'm getting at. I'll explain after you explain.
But that is what Jameis Winston's going to do. Now, if you get points knocked off for throwing pick sixes, you might want to reconsider because I'm in a couple of leagues that if the quarterback throws a pick six, it's like a -6 points. So you gotta be careful on that with Jameis Winston because he's gonna fire the ball and he's gonna throw interceptions. It just so happened last week 1 of them or 2 of them were pick sixes, but that's just what Jameis Winston is going to do. But for me, look, after that he's got a favorable matchup with Kansas City, and then he's got another one against Cincinnati, and we've seen what other quarterbacks have done against Cincinnati. So I think it's points, and more points for Jameis Winston. I remember back, I think it was 2019. When Jameis Winston, he had 30 touchdowns, but he also had like 30 interceptions. It was the 30-30 year. But he was relevant in the playoffs because he was still firing the ball to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin at that time. Like they were still getting getting yardage and getting points. So for me, I'm gonna say you still got to roll with Jameis Winston out there. I don't know who your other QB is. It doesn't stay here either. But
you want to hear why I reacted so vociferously?
Sure. Yeah, I want to hear.
Okay, well, it's simple. There's no such thing as a must start. We've been proving that all year. Right. All right. If you tune into our Thursday checkdown show tonight, you're going to hear this very guy, Tipp, saying to sit Patrick Mahomes this week. And since Tipp is 9-3-1 or 731 through the first 13 games this year, when he says to sit a stud, you should be listening. You got to pay attention. Now, Winston has 5 starts this year, and he should have been a fantasy starter in 3 of them. The other 2, 40%, he really didn't have a top 12 score, and in one of them, he didn't have a top 24 score. So this week, he's at Pittsburgh. You're right. I wouldn't start him this week, not unless your other options are dog crap. He plays Miami and Cleveland in week 17. That's likely your championship game. I probably wouldn't start him against Miami, even if the weather's good, which Cleveland, late December, not so sure it'll be good. I mean, we all saw what happened in Cleveland last week. So, no, he's not a must start rest of the season. And like Tipp says, you didn't tell us who your other quarterbacks are. So we can't really give you great advice. But I will say this, nobody is a must-start rest of season.
Let's play a game. Let's say that this player this person has Geno Smith or Jameis Winston for you.
Okay, Geno Smith or Jameis? I go with tonight.
No. Just rest. Just you could just say.
No, I'm not doing anybody rest of season.
Just say this week.
This week. Maybe I go with Geno. I'd have to look and see who Geno's playing because I don't know.
He's playing the Cardinals.
Cardinals, then I'd probably go with Geno over Jameis this week.
I like that call. Okay. Kyler Murray playing the Seattle Seahawks.
I don't like Kyler ever. I don't.
Jameis Winston. Yeah. I think that this week is one of those weeks where you're going to have to really see what happens as far as with Jameis goes. And again, if we know who your other quarterback is, that will make it easier. But for rest of the season, I will say this: you might have to play matchups depending on who your quarterback is. And I like the matchup with Kansas City, and I like the matchup with Cincinnati for Jameis Winston. All right, Robert has this question for you. He says,
"You like Kansas City in Kansas City for Jameis?"
Yeah, because
that's also a weather game. That's also a weather game.
Yeah, but okay, it does depend on the weather.
Would you start him over Pat Mahomes in that game?
Probably not.
Okay, and you're saying to sit Patrick tonight.
I'm saying to sit him this week. Yep. And you guys listen, you'll hear why I'm saying to sit Patrick Mahomes. I don't know, Greg, because we got to stop. Like a lot of people, we look at the reality of Patrick Mahomes and the reality of Jameis Winston. Guys, this is fantasy. These are really just the stats.
40%, he's not a top 12 quarterback.
Yeah. Who? Jameis?
Yeah. I went out and looked. One of the games he was like 20. He wasn't even a top 24.
Yeah.
One of his games he was like 13 or 14, and one of them he was not even top 24. Now his other 3 games he's been stellar.
Yeah,
but still 40% of his games he wasn't startable.
Well, you could even see that. You could even say it like this: from a reality standpoint, Jameis Winston last week was a bad quarterback. Yes, he had 4 touchdowns. He almost had 500 yards. But from
he wasn't a bad fantasy quarterback.
Fantasy, no, he was amazing. He was the number 1 quarterback. But from a reality standpoint, people will look at that and they'll look at the 2 pick sixes. They'll look at they didn't win the game. They'll look at all of that and say
some scoring systems really give you a negative for those pick sixes too.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was just saying. Like I'm in one where they give you -6 points for that, and it makes you pick certain quarterbacks who are prone to throwing those pick sixes, like a Jameis Winston, like a Kirk Cousins or a Daniel Jones. But this one's fun, but I think that you just have to be matchup based on this one. I do like the one against Kansas City, and I do like the one against Cincinnati. specifically the Cincinnati one. But because I think
Cincinnati,
that
I
could be a higher.
love. Kansas
Yeah,
City, it depends on who else I have. If
right.
I've got Joe Burrow going against him, I probably go with Burrow.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, number 3. We got on a scale of 1 to 10. This is from Robert. How worried are you about Cooper Kupp, Greg?
It depends on what you're worried about.
Right.
His play, not at all. Since coming back, he's played in 6 games. He has double-digit targets in half of them, 8 targets in the 4th game, and then he scored 15 or more points in 5 of the 6 games and 20 or more in 3 of those games. Yeah, he had a bad week 13. He really did. It was a terrible week 13. I think he had 4.7 in my scoring. If you're worried about schedule, you should be. He has. I'm using a sleeper reference here. He has 4 red matchups in a row. On sleeper, if you look at the players' game logs, you can see whether he has a good or a bad matchup, just color coded. If it's a green matchup, it's a good matchup. If it's red matchup, it's a bottom half matchup. So he's got 4 in a row, and this is basically your end of season playoff push. So yeah, you should be worried about that. But to me, only one when he's playing at New York for the Jets is a site where weather's a concern. He's a clear wide receiver 2 for the Rams. Puka's a wide receiver 1. I think that's a good thing because it means that he faces the second best corner and is rarely doubled with somebody over the top. So as long as Stafford is healthy, I'm not worried about Kupp. And I think my friend Scott, the King Ingle, would say it best. He'd say, don't overthink one game.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are overthinking this one with Cooper Kupp. Look, the schedule is, there is a little concern there, a little bit, because it's still Cooper Kupp and it's still Matthew Stafford, and they still have a really good connection, even though Puka has eaten into that because Matthew Stafford has a good connection with Puka as well. But the connection, I'm good on that part. But what I will say this, Cooper Kupp is still averaging 9 targets per game since he's come back in week 8. So that in and of itself is strong. Anytime you get, to me, over 6 targets a game consistently, that's good for a wide receiver 2. Wide receiver 1s are going to usually get 10 plus touches or targets, but a wide receiver 2.
Well, I say wide receiver 1 gets 8 to 12 usually.
Yeah,
so occasionally they'll get 15 plus, but usually it's 8.
Right. So that for me, for 9 is good. Question. Oh wait, from who?
I got to hide it so I can see it. Corey wants to know whether to start Tua or Goff this week.
Ooh.
Goff just doesn't throw the ball enough, and I think even in Detroit, where the weather is not an issue, they're going to run the ball a ton. I'll be surprised if Goff gets more than 25 throws this week. Even with Jair gone, I don't think he throws the ball that much. So I probably roll out Tua over Goff this week. What about you?
I would tend to agree with you. The matchup against the Jets, Miami's playing the Jets. That is a little concerning, the Jets defense, but they haven't been that great. Tua in the offense with the Miami Dolphins has gotten a little bit better. You're always able to get passes to Devon Achane as well. Jonnu Smith. I think I'm going to go Tua. Tua burned me a couple of weeks ago because I went Kyler Murray over him, and that's when he had like 4 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to get anything like that this week, but I think that he can get you at least, 250 plus yards and maybe a couple of scores. So I think you go 2 on this one. I do agree with you about running the ball. I think that, Detroit wants to control the clock because their defense is a little banged up. So they want to control the clock.
All right. So is it your turn to go first on the questions?
Oh, wait. Let's see. Yep,
yeah, it is.
This was going to be yours. Yeah, this was going to be yours. So, for me. So this is from C. Henry. And this was a tough one for me. He has ETN and he has Rashad White in the PPR flex. Now, go ahead, Greg. Go ahead. Why? Because you shook your head.
Well, as long as Bucky Irving is healthy,
right.
ETN is going to have the higher ceiling. I don't think either player has a true running back 1, 18-point plus ceiling. But I would probably look for a wide receiver option that can give me 6 to 8 receptions over both these guys. They both seem to be good for 10 to 12 rushing attempts. And surprisingly, ETN the last couple games has more pass play action than does Rachaad White, who's known for being a receiver.
Yeah.
Both have red matchups this week, so I probably roll with ETN this week, but I'd adjust based on opponent and week to week situation going forward.
Yeah, look, Bucky Irving had 25 carries last week. 20, that's a lot for him. I mean, he's not a big back.
How many targets did Rachaad White have?
Let me look at that. He had one. Was it one? Yeah, because it was he caught that one pass, and it was a long pass right at the end of the game. I do remember, but yeah,
I think he's only had one target the last 2 games. Actually,
that's the thing. That's the thing about Rachaad White, man. If he's not getting it done in the passing game for you, and he's not getting 5+ catches, it's really nothing for him because they're not utilizing him in the red zone.
He's not efficient to begin with.
Right. They're not using him in the red zone. They even brought in Sean Tucker at one point, and he got a touchdown in the red zone a few weeks back.
Sean Tucker had one really big game.
Yeah,
really
the Saints.
Big game.
Right,
yeah.
And that's when I tailed that and went after him because I didn't necessarily believe that Bucky Irving was going to take over the role like he's been doing because he's a rookie. He's a little smaller in stature. I'm starting to understand your philosophy behind that smaller stature. So I went ahead and picked up Sean Tucker, and I had to drop him. He's been a waste on my bench because I've never played him.
But sometimes it's better to pick him up before it's too late.
Right.
Read Isaac Garindo.
Yeah.
Hey, before we go to the next question, and we've got another one in the chat, which I'll get to, but I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Would you pick up either Israel Abanaconda, however you pronounce his name, or I think it's Patrick Taylor that was just signed and is the backup?
Yeah.
Would you pick up either one of them as insurance against Garindo? Because they're right now the 2-3 at the running back for San Francisco.
Yeah, what is it again, man? San Francisco is having injuries at the running back position. Man,
and if so, which one of the two would you pick up?
Yeah, I'm definitely, look, I put a post out there about Garindo. I've been talking about Garindo for 3 weeks now, and a lot of people laughed. And look, I'm the one laughing because I picked him up in the Scott Fish Bowl. For me, I'm probably gonna go with Benaconda, Israel Benaconda. But I wouldn't be up. Look, if you go out there, if you got room, pick both of them up because you just don't know what's going to happen. If you didn't get Isaac Garindo, pick both of those two up. Now, if you have Isaac Garindo,
and if you wait to find out, it's too late.
Right. Okay. I think that if you have Isaac Garindo, don't worry about it. You just hope and pray he doesn't get hurt and just play him. But if you didn't get a shot at him and those two are on there, I think you go out there and just pick up both if you have the spot for it.
We've got another question from the crowd. Mr. Magic wants to know, Stafford, Caleb Williams, or Sam Darnold? Who do you got?
Puka. I'm not going to play Caleb this week.
I got Stafford. It's easy for me.
Yeah, I like Darnold, though, going against Atlanta. Because, look, okay, so this is the thing. We're going to talk about Kirk Cousins in a minute, too. But for me, Kirk Cousins, he hasn't shown anything, especially coming off of that bye last week. It was very, very bad. Right? So I'm kind of the situation that, they probably know Kirk Cousins' tendencies. They know that his ankle or his Achilles is not doing great. So I would probably lean Stafford just slightly, but I think Darnold. I called it last week that Justin Jefferson was going to have a big game. I think this is the actual big game because I was wrong. I mean, he had an okay game last week, but I think this is the big blow-up Justin Jefferson game. And I think that Justin Jefferson gets nice. So that's why I want to pick Darnold.
So you take Darnold over Stafford?
I'm going to go Darnold. I'm going to go Darnold just slightly.
All right. So you got two opinions there, and we're never always on the same page. But Mr. Magic followed that up with a wide receiver question. Now, to me, I'm going DK Metcalf because he is the clear wide receiver one. I love JSN. He's playing much better right now. And who was the other one?
Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby. Now, Mr. Magic, I know you got another one in there, but I can't do it until we get to our other questions that came in early. We've given you two. But who do you go with, the JSN, DK, or Jacoby?
DK for me. I like JSN, but DK, I think
I like all three of them.
I think this is another spot for DK Metcalf. But I will say this: Jacoby Myers injured today, missed practice, and it was up in the.
I did see that. You're right.
Yeah. So be careful on him. Do look at that. Make sure. And I did confirm that he did miss practice today. But DK for me, I know JSN is nice, but I like DK.
And this one's for you, actually.
This is for me. And we talked about it just a few minutes ago. Week 14 stash help. QB needed. Jaden Daniels, owner. He needs Will Levis versus the Jaguars, Derek Carr versus the Giants, Kirk Cousins versus the Vikings. I know a lot of people are looking at the revenge narrative for Kirk Cousins. I like it too. I love the revenge narrative factor. But Kirk Cousins, I was watching some film on him earlier today. He's still not planning that foot with the Achilles. He's still not planning it all the way. And so for me, that kind of makes me a little bit nervous coming out of that bye week. He threw 4 interceptions last week. Brian Flores is just waiting in the helms. Can't wait to get to Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins and the same approach. Can't wait to get and play against that Brian Flores defense. But I think Brian Flores gets the best of him on this one. I'm going to go Will Levis, believe it or not, because Will Levis, although he's not a great quarterback from a reality standpoint, he's been pretty good for fantasy. He's throwing the ball deep. He's getting a lot of touchdowns, throwing the ball deep as well, especially to Nick Westbrook-Akine and then Calvin Ridley. That's another revenge factor in this one. And then, look, if they can use Chigoziem Okonkwo, please, if they can use him in this game, in this pass game, which he can break. He's a fast tight end. If he can use him, I would really like this offense a lot better. I'm going to go Will Levis just slightly above Kirk Cousins.
Well, Cousins would have been my off-the-cuff response. Yeah. But he's been so turnover-prone lately. Yeah. And not just the 4-pick day. He's had six interceptions in the last 3 games. He's had an interception in each of the last 3 games. And then, like you said, 4 last week. So I decided to look deeper. Now, going forward, you don't get a more quarterback-friendly schedule than what Will Levis has. Yeah. Okay? And while I wouldn't start any of these guys over Daniels, I think if Daniels went down, I'd prefer Levis over Carr and Cousins. Talent and experience, the schedule is so much better. So I agree with you. I'd go Levis for this week, but I would also keep him just in case something happens to Daniels.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the one that you can go with on that. We have some questions again. Mr. Magic has one more question. I want to make sure I didn't miss it. Keenan Allen, if plays, D-Hop or Devonta Smith has been just like, I don't know what's up with him, man. He's been
injured.
Yeah, I mean, he has been injured the last couple of weeks, but even before then, he hasn't been the same. Jalen Hurts has been struggling.
There. You've got Goddard there. You've got A.J. Brown there. And, it's not like Saquon can't catch the ball, okay? Yeah. There's a lot of targets there. And, look, I love Jalen Hurts, but he's not a pass-happy guy. Yeah. He's not a guy throwing 50 passes when you got Saquon in the backfield. Yep. So, he gets hurt that way. D-Hop is coming on, but he's only been there, 4 weeks, I think, in KC. So, I kind of like, in my opinion, Keenan has, ever since that space where the King said that the Keenan was done, and I said, I can't do that because, for those that don't know, back in the early days of Greg Kellogg, he had press credentials to the Falcons as a fantasy guy. Now, that was unheard of then, and it's unheard of now. So I just count myself lucky because that opened some doors with some agents for me. And Keenan Allen's agent, his rookie year, reached out to me to see if I would interview Keenan and several other players. Now, Keenan was the highest drafted player, but there was also a cornerback that was taken in the 3rd round that I interviewed too. But Keenan, the kid, when he came out, this was a kid that had dreams and he was a good kid. I mean, you could just tell talking to him that his head was screwed on right. And if you look at his career, Keenan Allen is going home. His first 4 years were in Southern California. San Francisco is home. It's California. I love Keenan Allen in this game. I'd probably go D-Hop, but I love Keenan Allen too.
Yeah,
so
Keenan Allen
I
plays,
think you could flip a
to,
coin and win with either of those guys. And if you have a flex position open, I'd make sure both of them play.
Yeah, Keenan Allen's not done just yet, and since Thomas Brown has come over there, it has took over as the offensive coordinator, he is utilizing Keenan Allen and utilizing Keenan Allen as strength. So look, if Keenan Allen plays, I think you just go with him. They're going against the 49ers. That's a team in shambles right now. So I would go Keenan Allen 100%. I agree. Look, Greg, King was the one that told me. I'm the one that he was like, Keenan Allen is done. And you and I both said, well, we don't think he's done just yet. And it's showing out just right now what he's doing.
Yeah, but my reason was personal.
Yeah.
Based on having interviewed the kid. Your reason was logical. Your reason was logical. Mine was all personal, So, I'll give Scott that. Scotty's a good guy, and he's original amazing Hall of Famer. He is very good. Listen to the man. If you can read what he does, read the man. He is very good.
Shout out to the king, man. All right. So
hey,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we got the Idget coming up. What happened in our last Idget thing?
Okay, guys. So we didn't do week 13 Idget calls or we didn't do a show last week for Q&A because it was Thanksgiving. We wanted to kind of hang out and just relax with the fam. And now, lo and behold, after Thanksgiving, I go around and get a cold, and I'm still trying to work my way out of it. And last week, week 12, I was the Idget. All right. So I'm going to tell you what the Idget calls were. The Idget calls were Jerry Jeudy, 3.5 receptions over under. Greg and I both took the over on that because we didn't necessarily know it was going to be a snow game, towards the second half. We knew there was going to be flurries, but that ended up being snow. But I think Jerry Jeudy had the 3 catches by the first half. He already had it. But we took the over.
Jeudy this week. Whoa.
Oh my God! Right. Well, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what it was, but I'm pretty sure it was way over 3.5 this past week.
It was 235 yards, which was an NFL record. Which
Crazy.
They didn't have anybody took the over on his yards this year. Made some. They made bank.
Yeah, it was definitely a record against his opponent. That was crazy, man. He went ham on that team. Okay,
and they never moved a safety over him until the very last quarter.
Never.
I mean, how many times do you have to see a young cornerback get torched before you say, maybe I should help him?
I'm gonna go back and watch the all 22 because look, man, a lot of people don't talk about Jerry Jeudy and his route running skills, man. His route running is nice.
He was able to catch the ball in inclement weather.
Yeah, the dude is nice. He's
once
he gets the opportunity, and I think he's going to get these opportunities with Jameis Winston there, especially if Cedric Tillman stays out. So I would keep firing at Jerry Jeudy.
He ran a fly pattern where the guy was 5 yards behind it. I mean, 5 yards behind it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you're beating a corner by 5 yards, every other route you run, you're going to have a safety on top with any defensive coordinator that is worth his salt. Yeah. I don't know Denver's got a good defense. I don't get it. I don't understand why they didn't. And even when he was being covered by Pat Surtain, he was getting open.
Dusted him. All right, so the Idget call for this one. This was my Idget call. It was Kyren Williams, 75 yards over under. I took the over, and he got 72 yards. So Greg took the under on that one. I took the over. Greg won that one, and then Kyler Murray.
Are you getting me a lobster dinner then?
No, I'm gonna get you a kid's chicken McNugget Happy Meal. That's what you're getting.
You're gonna give me the $5 special, aren't you?
There you go. And then Kyler Murray, 217 yards. Can we talk about Kyler Murray for a minute? Because, Greg, I'm starting to believe what you say. Because Kyler Murray was one of these players that I know what you said at the beginning of the season. You were like, I don't want him. He's too small. He gets hurt too much. I don't want him on my team. And
Short quarterbacks who run.
Yeah.
Short quarterbacks who run. They
And,
can't see over the trees,
yeah.
so that you have to roll them out. You
Yeah.
roll them out, they tend to run. They tend to run. They tend to get hit. Tend to get hit. They tend to get injured.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Since Fran Tarkington, I can't. Maybe Doug Flutie. There have been very few short quarterbacks who run that have stellar careers. They just don't.
How about Steve Young? Well, Steve Young was over like 6'1".
Steve Young was 6'1" or 6'2".
Okay, never. That's actually okay. Yeah. So with Kyler Murray, for me, it's like once he gets on the same page with Marvin Harrison, it doesn't seem like they're on the same page. He's definitely on the same page with Trey McBride. But what the hell happened to Greg Dortch? I mean, like, you utilize this guy. Michael Wilson hasn't done anything.
He's returning kicks.
Yeah,
he's returning punts.
Yeah, I think he should be on
not being used in the passing game.
I think he can help. I remember at the beginning of the season they were using Greg Dortch, and I think that would help.
He's a great slot receiver.
Yeah,
he is a great slot receiver.
So I don't know. I think we both took the under on that.
That could be coaching as much as it is Kyler Murray.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna get to these idiot calls of the week, and I got 5 this week. We can talk about all of them to see which ones that we disagree on, Greg. So I think I know what you're gonna go on this first one. This first one is Jared Goff over under 243.5 passing yards. This is on for sleeper props.
Okay, what do you think I'm going to say? Don't tell me what you're going to say. Just what do you think?
I think you're going to say under because you think they're going to run the ball a lot.
Well, that's true. And he only had 145 against Green Bay in Week 9.
Okay, I'm going to go the over. Yeah, under. I'm going to go the over because I think that J-Mo gets off on a couple of them. I understand the how bad they played against Green Bay, but this Detroit Lions, your Detroit Lions are a very prideful team. They don't like to be embarrassed, and
they were embarrassed last week.
Well, the Bears embarrassed themselves. Eberflus did, so they don't like to be embarrassed.
I don't. If I'm a Bears player, I'm not embarrassed. They came back from 16-0 down.
Yeah,
and they made that a game. I was sweating in that game. I'm as proud of Detroit for hanging on when the Bears came back as I am of Michigan for what they did to Ohio State.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring game than what you're saying. I understand them running the ball to hide the issues that they're having on the defensive side, but I think that
it could be a high scoring game running the ball.
Yeah, but I think that it's going to be a high scoring little shootout situation that we got on our hands tonight. And I think that, look, Jared Goff is going to go over to 243. I know that he hasn't getting a lot of pass attempts. What is he at, like 25 pass attempts per game right now?
I haven't looked, but he's had a couple games where he's thrown the ball a lot, but usually he's right at that 25 pass attempt.
I think they're going to. I didn't see. That's what I wanted to find was an pass attempt. I couldn't find anything on that.
Oh, go to Sleeper. Go to Sleeper, call up Goff, and look on game logs. Do it yourself.
No. I wanted to do an over under for this one.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Oh, you were looking for a bet.
Yeah, I was looking for one of the props. Instead of the 243 yards, I wanted to see the over under on his passing attempts. That's what I wanted. But I think
you go on 25, I'd have called it a push because I think he's getting exactly 25.
All right, so I'm writing on here, Tipp over, Greg under. All right, and then, all right, so next one, Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown. Now he's playing against the Bolts.
I love Kelce, right?
I know you love Kelce.
Under. Kelce's only had 2 games with TDs this year. And I like the Chargers defense. I'm going under.
Yeah, I think the Chargers defense. This is another nasty little defense.
Now I do think Noah Gray could get 2 scores against them.
That's the thing, Greg. That's the thing. That's what makes me nervous on this one. Is Noah Gray is just eating. He's vulturing away touchdowns from Travis Kelce. I understand how good the Chargers defense is, and that they're only giving up 15 points a game. And the last time they played each other, it was like 17-10. I get it. But what makes me nervous about it is what you just said right there with the Noah Gray. That makes me nervous. I'm going the under on this one, so we both agree on this one.
So SBNY, we will get to your question after we finish this segment.
Let's see. Keenan Allen. We talked about him. assuming he plays, 51.5 rushing or receiving yards for this week.
Well, I say under on the rushing yards, but I'm going over on the receiving yards. Yeah. Allen's gotten more targets and yards the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And spent his first 4 seasons in California. So to me, it's like a homecoming for him. He wants to do well. Yeah, so I'm going over with Keenan.
As long as he plays, I got the over on this one too. Yeah.
Okay, so we're the same there.
We both on this one. Kirk Cousins, 238 passing yards.
Okay, so I said over if he doesn't get yanked. Atlanta will need to throw to beat the Vikings, and Cousins can throw the ball, but I'm really concerned we're going to start seeing Penix real soon. If he keeps turning the ball over, Penix is going to play.
So what are you saying, over?
I'm going over.
I say under.
But I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, I don't like what I've seen from Kirk Cousins. I just watched some tape, like I said earlier today, and he's still not planting that foot. It's like a slight plant, like he's still kind of on. He's like on the ball of his foot. Yeah. He's not putting it all the way down.
So you're going under. And
I'm going under on this one, man. I think Brian Flores is going to have something for him. Brian Flores is going to mix it up so much with him. They're not going to know what hits them. I hope.
So we've gone different on two of them, right?
Yep, we've gone different on 2 of them. And I think we might go different on this next one.
If we split 1 and 1, does that make us both idiots or neither idiots?
No idiots.
No idiots. Okay,
no
fair
idiots.
enough.
All right, I think I know what's going to happen on this next one because I haven't been able to sit here and talk too much about my guy, my favorite player, Bijan Robinson, too much on any of the shows because I've just been kind of sitting quiet, listening. Saquon Barkley's had a resurgence. Derrick Henry, although he's slowed down, he's had a big resurgence. Joe Mixon, he's been doing really well this season. But I still have Bijan Robinson as my number 1 RB. I'm not going behind. I'm not going to back down from that. It looks like it may not happen. He's averaging about 17 points per game in a standard PPR league. But I will say this, Bijan Robinson this week, I'm going to say he's getting a touchdown. Anytime touchdown is it set at 5.5. Does he get in for you, Greg?
Well, I'm going to be talking about Bijan in our This Day in History segment tonight.
Oh, all right? God. So we got to wait?
Oh, no, I'll tell you. I say he goes over. This is probably wishful thinking on my part, but Bijan has scored in 6 of 12 games, including 5 of his last 7. So he's on a roll.
He's on a roll.
But remember, our This Day in History is what superstar is going to drive you to drink this weekend. Now, why would him scoring drive me to drink? Well, because you called him the greatest running back of all time.
I did not say that.
It kind of makes me have to put up with you. That's why it would drive me to drink.
Greg, I never said the greatest running back of all time. Maybe the second greatest, but not the greatest.
All right, SBNY has 2 questions.
All right.
The first one is Goff tonight versus Green Bay or Mayfield versus I think Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Your team, the Raiders.
My team.
So I'm going with Mayfield. I really am. First of all, I don't think Goff is going to have to throw a lot, and second, Mayfield's just really been surprising this year. So I like Mayfield here.
I do too. Okay. They're trying to get Mike Evans to a little bit of history as well. So that's something that I'm liking. I like both of them. I'm looking at my rankings right now, Greg, and SBNY. I have Baker Mayfield slightly. I have 2 spots ahead of Jared Goff. So I'm going to go Baker Mayfield as well. But I think, again, in this situation, you're playing with house money. I think you're going to be happy either way. But the thing is that this is the one thing, though. The game tonight could be a significant. It could be a higher scoring game than what I think the Ravens.
Thursday nights usually aren't.
They're not. But these teams, you got to also remember this too.
They played on Thursday last week.
They played on Thursday last week. So a lot of people are like, well, they're on a short week. They're on a short. No, they're not. They're on
they're not. Neither one is.
Yep, both of them on a full week's rest. So that for me would make it think that this game could be a little bit. Both teams could really show up to play this week. or this game.
Okay, so
Now,
here's a defensive question from SBNY.
yeah.
Pitt defensive special teams versus Cleveland or Tampa Bay versus Vegas. And I'm going to put it back up on the screen so the people can see it.
I'm going Tampa Bay. I understand Pittsburgh's defense is nice and they've been doing really well, but you just don't want to get into a situation with Jameis Winston, because although he will throw picks and he could throw a pick six like he always does, he does seem to throw touchdowns too, and those are going to hurt you. With Tampa Bay, I think this is, look, I'm a Raiders fan. I love my Raiders, but I think that and they're playing hard. You got to give them credit for that. They are playing hard, but sometimes they tend to upset us Raiders fans or not play well when they should. When we're like, oh, we came off of a good game against the Kansas City Chiefs last Friday, and now we're going to play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay's got to win this game. They are still in this division. We are not. So what I think is going to happen is I think that Tampa Bay is going to get up to an early lead, and that's going to allow them to get some more points on the defensive end. I'm going Tampa Bay on this one.
Yeah, I like Pittsburgh here. I really do. I think it depends on your scoring system, but if it's like most, it's turnover based more than anything else. It doesn't matter how many points you give up. It doesn't matter how many yards you give up. It's, do you get turnovers? Yeah, if you get shutouts, that matters. But I don't think either of these defenses is going to shut out the other team. Yeah. So I think the most likely turnovers and sacks are probably going to Pittsburgh over Tampa Bay.
That's a good point, Greg. That's a great point.
So I probably go Pitt here. Okay. Although I love Vita Vea for Tampa.
Yeah,
but he stops the running game. He doesn't really do much else. Right. So I think I go Pitt there. So
okay. We got one more question from Steven. Let me go ahead and put it back up.
Oh, I got to get it down so I can read it. Do you have it up?
Okay, I have it up. He says, "Are you starting Josh Jacobs? I am in a PPR league deciding second flex spots. Other options are McConkey, Harris, Jennings, and Dowdle."
Well, we had a question about Harris versus Dowdle. I think somewhere I had that. It might have been on Twitter. I really like what Dowdle's doing now. And if Jennings is Juwan Jennings, I probably play him over everybody because I'm assuming McConkey, even if he plays, he's going to be dinged. He's going to be hurt. And so I'm probably steering away from McConkey. Now, Jacobs, Detroit's very good against the run, but they're missing 4 starting defensive linemen. All right. But they still have Aleem McNeil, who is the best run stuffer that Detroit has all year at defensive tackle. And since he's gotten a little bit smaller, he's been good, but they're missing their middle linebacker, Alex Anzalone, and his replacement, Malcolm Rodriguez. So, if Jacobs is playing, I probably do put him in. I probably do.
Yeah. Last game against him, 95 yards. I'll go Jacobs for sure.
Yeah, he did, but that was in Green Bay, but that was also with a more fully featured Detroit. They had already lost Anzalone. Campbell's playing really well in his stead, though. Jack Campbell's actually getting better every game he plays. So I probably go with Jacobs. But if I don't go with Jacobs, I'm either going with Jennings or Dowdle. I'm probably not going with McConkey or Harris.
Yeah. And look, Matt just asked about this, and I was reading a report on Sincere. Look, Sincere, he's 5'9", 210 pounds, I want to say. So that's good size from a running back. And Greg likes those types of running back that size. He doesn't really like the 5'10", 180 guys or 188 like a Devon Achane.
I don't like guys that are under 200 pounds.
Yeah, so I'll say this. Sincere last week, 14 total touches last week, and did really well with those touches against a tough Kansas City Chiefs team. The Raiders are watching that. They're looking at that. And look, I was on the Dylan Lave train. I even wrote an article on Dylan Lave.
2 carries, did he?
He didn't even touch the ball on the offensive side. They're still not ready to give him the ball yet. He only got two touches on special teams. He's strictly a special teams guy, And Amir Abdullah's good. He's a good scat back. He's not one of those running backs that you're going to need to grind out the game. Sincere, I'm picking him up in any league that you guys, if he's available, because a lot of people they're not looking at a Raiders player, first of all. And then they're definitely not going to look at, if anybody, they're probably looking at Amir Abdullah. There's a few Dylan Laubays out there. Sincere is one player that I definitely would recommend you pick up. I wouldn't say just start him all the way unless you are in a bye situation. Huh? McCormick. Sincere McCormick.
Okay. So I think I did pick him up, but I don't. I just don't see him getting all the touches there.
Yeah, he's gonna be right around a 12 touch guy, 12 to 15 touch guy. He's not gonna get you a bunch of touches, so you just got to deal with that. But he is gonna be their bruiser, and Amir Abdullah is gonna be their other back that they use out of the backfield for catches and things like that. So
okay, so I think if you put up this next comment from Jay Stacks, I don't think it'll show the whole comment on the screen. Okay. But I'll read it. Right. Jay is 10-3, 12-man PPR. His running back room is depleted. He starts 2. He's got Hunt, Vidal, Spears, Akers, or pick up Corum, Patrick Taylor, or Travis Homer. Well, I would stay away from Taylor right now. And Travis Homer, I wouldn't even consider. Corum, I might pick up. He got the most touches he's had all year last week. And let's face it, Kyron Williams has already had like 3 or 4 knee, ankle, and foot injuries in his career. And it's only a 2-year career, not even 2 full years. Now, Michigan Homer, I thought that Corum would be splitting carries from week 1. I thought he would have the job by week 4. He has not. But I would definitely pick him up over Akers. I would drop Akers right now. For who do you start this week? I would probably go with Vidal and Spears. Pacheco came back, was very efficient, and he did better in his touches, limited as they were, than Hunt has in any of his games. So I think Hunt's time is done. I think Vidal is probably going to be the third down back. Now, the thing is, they just didn't throw much last game. Yeah. So Vidal didn't get all the uses he could, but he actually had better rushing numbers than he has had all year. And let's face it, you have no explosion from Gus Edwards, and Hassan Haskins fumbled on the 1-yard line, so he came out and didn't go back in. So I think Vidal is going to be big there. Spears, if you're in a PPR, then you are in a PPR, then Spears may get 4 or 5 catches for you this week. So I'd probably go Spears and Vidal, but I would pick up Blake Corum, and you're going to be hurting at running back no matter what.
Yeah, and for me, Hassan Haskins, that train is over. Look, you cannot fumble in a game like that. They needed that game last week. So, and it's not like I was like going out there, saying go out there and pick, but we didn't know what the backfield was going to look like now that J.K. Dobbs was out and on IR. And we still don't know. It's one of those situations I would avoid because it just looks nasty. It looks like a jumbled mess. It's hard to trust Jim Harbaugh as well. And then look, you got the Hunt situation. I don't know if I would say Hunt is, just because Pacheco is back. I think that's going to be a little bit of a committee. And then you got Samaje Perine coming in there too. So I would be careful on that one too, because Andy Reid, he's going to need these running backs in the colder months or in the playoffs. So he's going to try to keep them all fresh. So they're going to be in some kind of weird rotation. So yes, that's going to be a little bit of a different. I kind of like the Travis Homer as long as Roschon Johnson and Swift are out. Patrick Taylor, I said pick up Patrick Taylor, Israel Ebenekonda, but it doesn't seem like you have the room to do that. So I would go with, I think Travis Homer is somebody I would look at, and then Spears is another one that I would look at in this one.
You wouldn't look at Corum.
Pick up Corum. Yeah, pick up Corum. I would pick
Corum
up
Corum or Homer.
Corum in that case.
Thank you.
In that case. Yeah.
So Mr. Magic is
what do you
asking.
mean, thank you? What do you mean?
Well, because you agreed with me, so thank you. Mr. Magic has another one. Drop Kincaid for Ertz. He has Daniels. They're both on bye this week. I would not drop Kincaid for Ertz. I would keep Kincaid. That said, I would want Ertz. I would look, do you have a second defense, a second kicker, or a wide receiver or running back that's never playing? I would drop them for Ertz because I do like the matchup, but I think you can use Kincaid and Ertz as a flex play.
Yeah,
Your thoughts?
I don't. The Kincaid situation scares me, Greg. I just don't know if you're going to get anything from him. At least Ertz is healthy. So
yeah, but if Kincaid was doing well before he went down, and if he comes back, you got Josh Allen throwing to him,
yeah,
and he is the starting tight end. He is a flex play. He can be used over a lot of running backs and wide receivers that are currently playing in flex leagues.
Yeah. Okay. And wait, Buffalo's not on bye this week.
No, Ertz is.
Oh, okay.
Washington is.
Okay. Real quick, Greg.
So you definitely don't want to drop him this week.
Right.
But what we don't know is Kincaid starting this week or are they another week of Knox?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to look.
I can look at that as well. But I have a question for you. Did we do the Bijan Robinson anytime? What did you say on that? Because I didn't write it down.
Oh, yeah. Let me go back and look. I think I said over.
Okay.
I did say over.
Okay, so I'll just put both.
We both went over.
Yep, we both went over. I'll take a look at the Kincaid injury. Let me see what his designation is.
Hey, guys, we have another show that's starting in what? Look at the clock. About an hour. All right. We're going to close up here. I'm going to go heat my back because I'm old and my back is very tender. And then when we get back,
nobody want to hear about your back.
Then in an hour, we're going to be telling you what studs to sit, what sleepers to start, and what player this week, what studly player this week what superstar is going to drive you to drink. And like I say, our studs to sit, we're over 60% as a team, and Tipp has been burning up at over 73%. So Tipster, if he tells you to sit Pat Mahomes, I got to listen to the man.
Oh, Greg, I got a question for you. I know you don't drink now, but did you used to drink back in the day, right?
I went from 155 to 215 my first 3 months of college drinking beer.
What was your favorite beer in college?
Beer was a quarter a mug.
Oh my God! What was your favorite beer?
Oh, I didn't care.
What was it called?
I didn't like anything. My favorite beer of all time is called Spätlese. You get it in Germany. They take a soda and they have a beer with the soda. They mix them. So it's a little sweet. I do not like the taste of beer. Never have. But I could drink a case and a half at one sitting because after 3 beers, you don't taste it anymore. So
now I like my cognac. I like my cognac. I don't have my boy's cognac. I'll show you guys. I'll have it up here. I'll have it up here for you next time.
I'm not a whiskey guy, but I do like mixed drinks that taste like, fruit juice or, you're going to laugh at me. One of my favorite drinks in high school was a slow gin fizz. That's a ladies' drink, but I'm here to tell you, you drink 5 of those in 15 minutes while you're sitting down. If you stand up, you will fall over. I'm just telling you. That is a silent assassin of a drink. Slow gin fizz. Tastes like soda. Tastes like soda. You taste like soda. You drink 5 of them. Trust me, buddy. Don't stand up.
I'm going to Vegas in July. I mean in January, so I might have to try that one. I like for me. I used to like the Amaretto sours; those were pretty good. But like now, I just like cognac with a little bit of Coke or a little bit of Coke and grenadine if you want to get a little fancy.
We got one more question, and I know it's overtime, and we're supposed to be out of here.
Yeah.
Matt, we're going to squeeze it in. Mooney, Elijah Moore, Westbrook, or Chubb? I do not like Chubb. Elijah Moore's injured, so you got to go with Westbrook and Mooney. What do you
Yeah,
say?
the Chubb situation makes me nervous because he just hasn't looked that great. I know he got a touchdown last week. That's fine. Elijah Moore, yes, he's a little banged up. Mooney,
Missed practice, right?
yeah, but Elijah Moore is still getting work. And the only thing that scares me about Westbrook Akina, and I actually told people to go out there and pick up Westbrook, but then that was a few weeks back. But what I did notice about him is he's got less than like 20 catches on the whole season, and all of those
Yeah,
catches,
but how many of
those
them have
catches.
come in the last? How many have come in the last 3 games?
Let's see. I can tell you. Let's see. Westbrook Akine.
My problem is I'm not starting Chubb under any circumstance because I think Jerome Ford's the better back.
Yeah, and you know what? And Westbrook Akine, they are playing against the Jags. They are playing against the Jaguars. Last week he did get 8 targets. He only caught 3 of those. That's not good. But he's getting those touchdowns. Westbrook Akine is. I think you right. You know what? Keep riding the hot hand. Yeah, keep riding the hot hand on Westbrook Akine. And then the other guy was
Mooney for me.
Is Mooney? How's Mooney? Because he was. Oh no, he played last week too.
Yeah.
I just don't trust. I don't trust.
You don't trust. Well, you know,
Kirk Cousins, man.
Kurt was too busy throwing to the other team.
He could be doing the same thing this week.
He could be. He could be, but as a Detroit fan, I'm hoping they beat the Vikings.
But Matt, hopefully Elijah Moore is good and he's ready to go on Sunday. I would go with him over.
Yeah, if Moore's playing, I would definitely play him over anybody on this list. But he did miss practice today, so you have to wait and see. Yeah. But if Moore's playing, he has been very good. Look at the games where both he and Jameis Winston played, and you'll see a bump in his targets. Yep, so yes.
Well, that's all we got for today, guys. But we will be on in 54 minutes. So we'll be back on. Greg, the Hall of Famer, Tipp, and we'll be back on the Sports Affiliation.
Hall of Famer.
Oh, stop! No. Look at you.
Hey, you never know.
Hey, did you hear? Hey, did you? Well, I shouldn't say. No, I'm not going to say anything. I'll tell you offline. But that's it for the show.
Hey, wait a minute. Before you go, when does your article come out on Football Guys?
Oh, so yeah, okay. So yes, guys, I did get I started working with Football Guys. I am going to be writing my first article next week. Next week is my first.
What day?
It should. Well, I have to send it in by Wednesday, so I'm assuming it'll be out Wednesday afternoon. I don't know yet.
Or Thursday or Friday, but
or Thursday
don't look for it before Wednesday.
Yeah, don't look for it before Wednesday. But yeah, I'm super happy, super blessed. I can't
wait. What's the topic?
It starts and sits for week 15, playoff week.
There you go.
There it is.
Find him on Football Guys.
Yeah, guys. So I appreciate you, Greg. I really appreciate you. Love all the questions. Please keep them coming. Follow Greg at Greg Kellogg, Greg L. Kellogg. Follow me at Tipp Major and the Sports Affiliation. Follow them as well. We will be back on in 50
minutes, give or take.
Yeah, 52 minutes. We'll be back on. All right, peace. We're out.